Hello and welcome to the Vaults of Terra. My name is Ed and today we're going to be continuing with our Primarch videos with a quick look at Rogal Dorn. Now Dorn was the Primarch of the Imperial Fists Legion. Little is known about Dorn's childhood, although it is believed he was raised in the ice hives on the planet Inuit and was raised by members of the Ice Clans. Now the clan's patriarch raised Dorn as his grandson, teaching him much including the rudiments of tactics and combat. Even when he discovered he was not the Patriarch's true grandson, after the Patriarch's death, he still valued the man and kept his fur-trimmed cloak as a reminder of the old man's wisdom. Dorn eventually became leader of the Ice Tribes, then the leader of the planet, and eventually the leader of the space around Inuit, becoming the Emperor of the House of Dorn. 40 years after his grandfather's death, the Emperor of Mankind arrived and greeted his lost son with Dorn aboard his fortress ship, the Phalanx, which would later become the fortress monastery of the Imperial Fists in the years after the heresy. During the Great Crusade, Dorn was characterized by his loyalty, holding solemnly to his oath to fight for the Emperor, but shied away from seeking the Emperor's favour, doing what he must but never seeking recognition for his actions. He was also considered one of the most truthful of Primarchs, never directly lying to another, even if it could have bettered his cause. His command of the expeditionary fleet that his legion was a part of was exemplary, and he waged war with strategy and intelligence. His speciality was fortification, and his skill in constructing and defending fortresses impressed even Guilliman of the Ultramarines and Horus of the Lunar Wolves, who stated that if his legion faced Dorn whilst the latter was fortified, the result may well have been a never-ending stalemate. His skill in defence led to a rivalry with Perturabo of the Iron Warriors, who claimed to be the best siege specialist in the Imperium, with no fortress being closed to them for long. This led to a long rivalry that eventually reached a dramatic head during the heresy, which Dorn later felt responsible for provoking. When the Emperor returned to Terra, leaving the crusade in the hands of Dorn's brother Horus, he eventually sent for Dorn, commanding him to build the greatest fortress in the Imperium out of the Imperial Palace, a vast edifice that was in dire need of better protection. Using all his skills, Dorn shaped the palace into one of the most powerful and architecturally brilliant defences he had ever constructed. Whilst the majority of the Imperial Fists were on Terra, the Legion still took part in the Crusade, and it was because they were taking part in the Crusade that one of their fleets discovered the damaged Death Guard frigate Eisenstein and learnt of the heresy from the survivors aboard. Now initially Dorn did not believe that the heresy had occurred, but was eventually convinced that his brother had turned against the Emperor. He dispatched the majority of his legion to Istvan III, whilst he travelled to Terra with his veterans to prepare their defences for use. In the lead up to the siege of Terra, Dorn made the defences as strong as he could, even destroying some of the most beautiful and architecturally brilliant parts of the palace that he had designed previously to make the whole defence stronger. It was now far from beautiful, but the Imperial Palace would serve as the Emperor's best bastion on Terra. When the siege of Terra finally happened, Dorn was in total command of the forces of the Imperial Army, including the Titans and also the legions of the Blood Angels and White Scarves that had joined the Imperial Fists in the palace's defence. Although the fighting was brutal, the defences held for long enough for reinforcements to be close to arriving. This forced Horus to lure the Emperor aboard his battleship, the Vengeful Spirit, for a final battle. Dorn joined Sanguinius and the Emperor in the assault on the flagship, but they were separated when they teleported up there. When he arrived at the scene of the final confrontation, he found that Sanguinius was dead and the Emperor mortally wounded above the corpse of Horus. He returned from Horus's command ship, giving Sanguinius' body to his distraught sons, and interring the Emperor on the Golden Throne. He was among the group of people who were the last to hear the Emperor's living voice giving his final orders. Now, after the heresy, Dorn was distraught by his own perceived failure to protect the Emperor, and chased the traitors across the stars to avenge his father. Thus was not present on Terra whilst the administration was set up for the new government of the Imperium. After a time, Guilliman of the Ultramarines, who had been administrating in his father's absence, called the remaining legions back to Terra. There he presented them with the Codex Astartes and called that it immediately be implemented to prevent the chaos of the heresy from ever engulfing the Imperium again. Dorn was initially outraged at going against the Emperor's designs for the legions. In order to overcome this, Dorn spent 7 days meditating inside a device known as the Pain Glove. This administered great pain to the Primarch, but allowed him to focus on what needed to be done. Eventually, he left the Pain Glove and realised that in order for the legions and the Imperium to survive, they would need to break up his legion into smaller components. However, his legion were one of the most closely bonded as a brotherhood, and it would be very hard to break them up into separate entities. However, as Dorn went through pain to come to his conclusion, so the entire Legion would go through pain to reach their new purpose, as shortly after the Codex Astartes was announced, the Imperial Fists decided to assault Perturabo and the Iron Warriors on their citadel of the Eternal Fortress, which would become known as the Iron Cage Incident. Now, the details are given in my Perturabo video, but needless to say, the Imperial Fists suffered greatly and lost many in this conflict. However, it was through the suffering the Imperial Fists gained some measure of redemption in their own eyes for their failure at the Siege of Terra, and took the fight back to the enemies of the Imperium with the zeal they had not had before. The Legion was ready to be broken down after the pain of the Iron Cage, and they divided into 3, possibly 4 chapters. The Imperial Fists, the original Legion obviously, which is now a chapter, the Black Templars, and the Crimson Fists. Now, it is said that the Soul Drinkers may have been one of the 4th chapters, although there is some doubt cast upon that in the current lore. Dorn was presumed to have died in the years after the Heresy, commanding an assault on a bridge of an enemy ship. Now, only his hand was recovered, and it was kept in a skeletal form by the Imperial Fists as a relic of their presumably dead Primarch. Now, that's everything I wanted to mention specifically on Dorn today. There'll be more following up on the Imperial Fists later on in the Heresy videos, but for now, that's everything I wanted to say. So, just to follow up, I will be doing some live streams on my Twitch channel. The link is in the description below. Come if you want to see a posh English person fail to play video games well. So, apart from that, I hope you've enjoyed the video today, and I hope you join us next time on the Vaults of Terra.